You're listening to p.p.F. Living.
I like to come to Club Success to meet new people.
I really enjoy learning a lot of new skills.
It helps me learn the life skills that I need.
I love to come to Club Success because at least I can find a job to do.
I like to come to the Club Success because I should a fan. I eat. I talk. Friends understand me.
Welcome to p.p.F, Past, Present, Future Living, where we explore real life through the lens of mental health, community, and connection. I'm Destiny, and this podcast is produced by the members and staff of Club Success, a mental wellness clubhouse in Lakeland, Florida. Clubhouse is social and economic inclusion, like working with people to maintain relationship and working on tasks, reverses the alarming trends of higher suicide, hospitalization, and incarceration rates associated with mental illness. Here at p.p.F, we believe mental health can be influenced by many things, big and small, like friendships, hobbies, daily stress, physical health, or even creative outlets like gaming. Through this podcast, we hope to share stories, tips, and conversations that support recovery and overall well-being. Today's episode is all about the mental sides of sports. We'll dive into how being a sports fan can affect our emotions, identity, and mental health, and we'll hear perspectives from members of the Club Success community and a special guest. And now, let's get started.
Welcome to p.p.F. Living, a podcast presented by Club Success, where we explore real life through the lens of mental health, community, and connection. I'm your host, Steven. Today we're talking about sports, not just as games and entertainment, but as something that can have a real impact on our mental and emotional well-being. We'll be exploring what sports mean to us personally, how being a fan affects our emotions, and how sports culture shapes the way we express or hide those feelings. Whether you're a lifelong sports fan, a casual viewer, or someone who just connects with the emotions and community that sports bring, this episode is about looking at the mental side of sports in a real, honest, and supportive way. So take a breath, get comfortable, and let's swing for the fences, score the touchdown, beat the buzzer, and avoid a penalty flag, and head to the locker room for the fourth quarter. We're joined today by members of the Club Success community. Before we dive in, let's take a moment for everyone to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Shad.
I'm Ethan.
And now we're excited to welcome John Allen into the conversation. John is the director of Club Success, and outside of his work here, he's also a big sports fan, especially a diehard supporter of the Georgia Bulldogs. John, we're really glad to have you with us today. Can you tell us a little about yourself and share why sports and being such a dedicated fan have been meaningful to you, both personally and from a mental health perspective?
I always kind of liked working in the public service arena. I think sports has really allowed me to not only pursue my career goals, but it kind of gave me a competitive nature. Being a fan and also a previous player, I think sports has really instilled some foundational pieces such as hard work, sacrifice, honesty, just always pushing yourself to be the best. Those are some of the things that sports have really done for me, instilled within me. So I value it. Not only for enjoyment, but also as an opportunity to learn life lessons and gain foundational pieces that has helped me become successful in life.
Excellent. So let's get started with the conversation. Let's talk about sports on a personal level. When you think about being a fan, what does sports mean to you beyond wins, losses, or statistics? How does it connect to your identity, emotions, or sense of community? I'll say personally that it is insane how much of my mental and emotional well-being is tied up in how well the Detroit Lions are doing. They were bad for a very long time, and then suddenly they became good. And now when they do bad, it really hurts.
For me, I'm the same with Steven. I just feel like my mental health during like football season, basketball season, basically all the seasons really of sports of the teams I follow, like the Cubs and the Iowa Hawkeyes and other teams as well. Kind of my mental health kind of goes with how they're doing, how successful they are, and makes me kind, especially during football season, during the weekends, it really does ruin my. A lot of times when they lose, it ruins my weekend, and I feel bad, and I don't know how to really overcome that. But I'm trying to learn how to do that. So.
Well, I can personally say that I had to learn to detach a part of myself and my mental health from the team and their success and lack thereof success. Because I was the same way, Ethan and Steven. I was like, you know what? Man, these guys can't win and save their life. And then I'll get all upset and, want to smash the TV or something. But, then I had to realize that, just like myself, like everybody's prone to make mistakes, and we're not going to win everything that we set out to compete in. So I had to take a little bit of my emotional investment off the table, and then I started seeing it more as entertainment. And that's when it became really fun, when I just saw it as entertainment.
For me, I think when I think about sports, gets me in a good mood when my team wins, and whenever my team loses, it makes me get in a down mood. Basically, that's it.
And there's that weird sense of ennui, between the Super Bowl and preseason. The draft is there, but it's not as entertaining as it could be. So unless you're super into baseball, which a lot of people aren't nowadays, it's just you're just bored.
I think they play too many games. I don't know. It's like they play all season, right?
Yeah, they play 162 games, so it's I try to keep up with it as much as I can, but it's with the Cubs. I mean, they're the lovable losers, so it's been 10 years since they last won their World Series, so I'm hoping this year is a year for them to win another one. So, but it does. I think it affects a lot of mental health issues, at least from my perspective, and being able to, when I played in high school and stuff like that, the emotions would run high when you won, and it would run low, even still high when you lost, because you're like, well, how did we lose to a team that we should have beat? So that's kind of my take on.
Do you think that having a history of playing sports contributes to the heightened emotion that people have when they watch it, or if they're going for a team? Because I know with me, playing football and watching football is totally different, So if I see somebody do something and I'm like, I could have did that, they getting paid millions of dollars, I could become more frustrated,
Yeah, if you need somebody to come in and throw 4 interceptions in a game for vet minimum, I'll do that.
Exactly, right? Sign me up,
Exactly. I do think that it affects me from playing and just watching it, because while it is entertainment for me on the weekends and during the fall and the rest of the year, but I do notice a lot of times my mental health takes a big dive after football season.
Yeah.
And during basketball, it really does. I don't know what it is, but it just does. So
I think it's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
If you got that typical 9 to 5, all right, I know I'm gonna bust my behind at work, but guess what? On the weekend, I'm gonna watch some football. Even Monday night and Thursday night games, it's I had a long day, but I'm gonna go watch me some Monday night football. So it's something to look forward to. So I get it,
So when you're that invested as a fan, emotions can run high during games. How would you say games affect your emotions in real time as a fan? Talk about the excitement, the stress, the frustration, the hope or disappointment during those big moments, close games, or rivalry matchups, and how that emotional ride impacts your mood. I was born in Detroit, so I'm a huge Michigan fan. And when we play Ohio State, doesn't matter where, when, or what sport, I want to see them fail and burn and do horrible every time.
I agree with you, Stephen.
For me, I was born in Denver, so I'm a Bronco fan. I'm also a Cowboy fan. I usually watch college, so more than pro. But I do get like really anxious and anxiety ridden during games, just because I know I want to see my team succeed and win like every game, which I know sometimes is not possible with the teams that I follow. So it can be frustrating at times because they lose to people they shouldn't be losing to, and what adjustments can they be making? What other stuff that they could be doing to allow for more successful seasons. And so I do find myself a lot of times on the weekends very anxious when the season's going on. And
so the frustration, I think, comes from, I know me personally, I just kind of look at the game or whatever event, and I always kind of put myself in the shoes of the person who's not doing that great. So like you were saying, the coaches, I'm like, okay, I wouldn't have called that play. Like, why are you calling that play? So that, to me, that's where the frustrating part comes in. And like, I consider myself to be just like a run-of-the-mill guy. I didn't go to the pros or anything like that. I didn't even make the team I tried out for college football, So, but I played in high school. So I know a little bit about, like how things work behind the scenes, but I don't know entirely what's going on. But I can watch a game and see, like, okay, that doesn't look right, or that wasn't the right thing to do. And I'm thinking, like, if I'm, like, that much of a novice at, sports, at least watching it, then why can't somebody who's been coaching for 20 years or a player who's been playing for 10 years, like, see it as well,
So hypothetically, you have the ball on the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl and a running back named Beast Mode. Do you throw the ball?
Perfect example, I mean, like, everybody in the stadium knew what call should have been called, but hey, here we go. Multi-million-dollar coach, multi-million-dollar coaching staff, multi-million-dollar offensive line, let's do something that's just totally weird and not practical. I don't understand it. So that's where my frustration comes in at. Like, just kind of looking at it from the perspective of, like, okay, I wouldn't have done that.
I find that it's like I don't really mind what's being called like on the field or whatever, like, because it's their job to win. Like, sometimes the other guy's just better, so that's fine. Like, my frustrations mainly come from roster building. Like, doesn't matter like what the team is, whether it's like the Michigan football team or the Michigan basketball team or the Lions or the Red Wings in hockey. Like, when a fan can see very clearly that the players you have are not good enough or contribute enough, like, why is nothing being done to fix that? Like, I think the Lions' starting defensive line right now is 4 guys and Aiden Hutchinson. Those 4 guys could be anything, but...
Yeah. So, like, you need to tell Jerry Jones that, because they hold on to, like, unproductive players for the longest. I don't know what them Cowboys got going on. Well, you can be as sorry as you want to be, but you're not for the lead the Cowboys, especially quarterback. Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely understand that.
Yeah, it's frustrating on that because I know, like, I watch Dak Prescott and I'm like, wow. It's just...
What about Tony Romo, man? Tony Romo, he literally had to get hurt to the extent of he could not play for them to not let him be the quarterback for the Cowboys.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, he would just choke and stink up the joint as much as possible, and every year he came back.
Yeah. I think he threw a pick in every playoff game he ever played in.
Yeah, see, that's wild. And that's frustrating.
Yeah.
As a fan, that's frustrating.
And those emotions don't always end when the game is over. So how would you process tough losses, blowing leads, or disappointing seasons as a fan? This can include replaying moments, venting on social media, feeling drained, or learning to step back and reset emotionally. The year before last, the Lions were the number 1 seed in the NFC, and they lost in the opening round of the playoffs, which was terrible. But, you know, I love the Lions, and I went back and I watched the first time they won a playoff game in over 30 years. And, like, the emotions in that stadium were incredible because, like, Detroit was the first team to ever lose the entire season. Like, they were the first team to ever go an entire season without winning a single game. So to go from that to actually finally winning a playoff game at home, it was amazing.
Yeah, I remember the days when Detroit was pretty bad.
Yeah. I do replay tough losses. It ruminates in my head a lot. Sometimes I vent on social media, but not really too much. I don't really like to put myself out there like that. So I got to remember too, sometimes I also tell myself it's just a game, and I can't let their unsuccessful loss or game, you know, affect me, because in the end it really doesn't matter if they win or lose, because I gotta still live my life and do what I need to do to be successful in my own life. So
And then, like I was saying earlier, those foundational pieces that sports taught me as a player, just understanding that you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, that's what I use. You know, like, you know what? Hey, it just wasn't the day for them to win. You know, I appreciate good games. I appreciate good, like, sportsmanship. Like, if I see two teams just going at it and they're not trying to quit and they're just giving everything they got, and my team come out on the losing end, I appreciate that loss, you know, more so than, you know, a loss is because of a goofy call or some player trying to showboat or do something like to boast himself over the team. So just seeing good games, I've learned to appreciate that, even if it's a loss. Hey, we fought hard. You know, I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan, and one thing I like about the Bulldogs is, like, they're a very scrappy team. Like, there's games, I want to say it was the Ole Miss game, where they were just going blow for blow, and, like, we would not lay down. And that right there, to me, is what sports is about. All right, if you can walk away with a loss and you know you left everything out on the field, on the court, you know, and that's, to me, that's a win in the other ways, you know.
Like, my problem, I suppose, would be, like, as long as they're not tanking, like, trying to lose just to get a better draft pick or whatever, like, yeah, I'm fine. I mean, you tried your best. Like, I'm not going to freak out about that. Like, everybody could do something better every day. Like, I'm not going to say you're not going to make any mistakes unless you're Tom Brady in 07 or something. But
when I was growing up, I played football too, and what football taught me was focus on my life and stuff, and coaches always told me to believe in myself and stuff like that, and so
and ultimately that's what sports is about. Like, you know, I think now with the NIL and all this money that's being passed around, a lot of those values that I think sports are rooted in, you know, kind of get overshadowed, you know. But my coach was the same way, Shad. Like, I played Kathleen High School, and I'll tell a quick story. I remember we were working out during it was summer, and I had a doctor's appointment. So before each workout, we had to run 2 laps, and I hated running. So I said, Coach, I got a doctor's appointment. I'll be coming late. So I get to work out late, and I go into the weight room, and he's like, hey, Alan, go hit the track. And I'm like, man, come on. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go out to the track, and I'm going to just kind of like, you know, sugar-foot it, you know. So I start jogging the first lap, and all of a sudden, like, the sky opens up and just starts pouring down rain. And I'm like, yeah, after this first lap, I'm going back inside. So I start getting to the end of the lap, and I see my coach walking out to the track. And he gets to the track, And he asked me, he said, how many laps? I said, that's one. And he said, you got one more. And it's like pouring down rain at this time. So I'm looking like, are you serious? So I take off. I start running the second lap. I had to run it fast because it was raining. So when I finish, I get back to the weight room, and he looked at me and he say, son, sometimes you have to refuse to be brought down regardless of the conditions. And I will never forget that moment for the rest of my life. Because I've been through a lot of situations where you just got to push through. All right, so there's a lot of life lessons in sports, win or lose.
Also, what sports does, it teaches you to show up.
Yeah.
And your work ethic. Sometimes mine has not been always the best work ethic in my life, but I do know what it takes, and I just got to do it. It's like kind of an action problem for me sometimes, but it does teach you a lot of values and morals and lessons, and it will teach you life lessons that nothing else can teach you. So through winning and losing, it's an amazing thing.
So a lot of how we handle those moments comes from the culture around sports itself. Do you think sports culture encourages people to hide emotions or struggle in silence? This can include toxic masculinity, the idea of being tough, being told to man up, or play through it, and how that affects mental health conversations in sports spaces. There was just that recent case of the NFL player, I want to say Dolphins, where like he took his own life and like only one of his teammates showed up to his funeral.
Wow.
But they want to be like, everybody's like, we need to take mental health for men and sports more seriously, but like nobody's showing up to support that. So
I want to say, wasn't a Cowboy player who took his life not too long ago?
Was it Cowboys? Maybe I thought it was
It
Miami.
was two. It was two.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a receiver and for the Cowboys, it was like a defensive line.
Yeah, it was a defensive line.
And that's tragic. That's sad, man. Because you reach this pinnacle. All the money you can think of. All the fame and success, and mentally you're still not good. I don't want to call it toxic masculinity, but I think there's an element of like men don't cry in sports. Like there's that persona of like, okay, you get up, you got knocked on your butt, hey, go handle it, go do it to somebody else. Like you get up, wipe your wounds off and go back at it. So yeah, I feel there's that persona of just, as a man, as a male in sports, like the only emotion you should show is aggression and dominance over the other man that you're going against, And you take individuals who maybe are not playing sports anymore, and you put them in the real world with that mentality, it could be a recipe for a disaster, because everything isn't solved by like, physical aggression or, competition.
And I think too, just piggybacking off of what you said, I think in society in general, for males, there's still a stigma for mental health, and just in general, and that it isn't like, I think it's kind of shifting a little bit, but maybe, I'm not sure, but I feel like it is a little bit to where you can like release your emotions to other people and being able to talk about what's going on with yourself, because a lot of times people really don't care what people are going through, especially males, because they're supposed to be the ones that protect, provide, stuff like that. And I just feel like there's still that stigma that regardless of what, you try to do, it falls back on just, rub some dirt on it and get back in, so.
And I think what's kind of pushing that pendulum, and it's sad to say, but like guys are dying. Like the two people we just talked about, the players, like it literally had to take the loss of life for people to be like, okay, you know, guys are going through it too. Like, yeah, he's 300 pounds and he's on the field like slamming people around, but he's not okay upstairs. There's I think it was in Rocky IV when he fought the Russian guy after the fight. I think it was the segue into Rocky V. I don't know, like the beginning. But he was in the locker room and he was shaking. And I remember his wife, Adrian, came in and he was like, I'm not all right. And he was like shaking. She was like, what do you mean? You won the fight. And he said, I can't stop shaking. Like, I'm not all right. And then if you follow that Rocky series, you know that he ended up having some issues. It was more medical because he was getting hit in the head a lot. But you know, he was still like even in that moment, like she couldn't really understand what he was saying. And maybe it was him not being able to articulate it as well as he could. But he was just like, I can't stop shaking. I'm not all right. So, you know, you think about football players, they just crashing their heads into each other all day. People are like in the stand, yeah, do it again, you know. But when they go home, you can only imagine like what's going on upstairs. So I get it.
Mm-hmm. CTE is having a minor concussion every day, and a lot of them end up developing it.
Yeah.
Because they just hit each other, and it's a small impact, so it's not affecting them cognitively, but it's permanently damaging their brain.
Yeah.
And then one day it builds up so much that, you know, it doesn't end well, to put it mildly. Even with those challenges, sports still teach us a lot beyond the game. What lessons from sports help you handle life off the field? Think about discipline, teamwork, accountability, dealing with failure, and how those lessons apply to work, relationships, and mental health.
Like I said, I got a lot of lessons I've learned from sports. I think the biggest one, honestly, is just never give up. Like, never quit. Just never give up. You know, conditions can be horrible. Circumstances can be, like, unfortunate. But just like my high school coach say, sometimes you have to refuse to give up. And I feel, you know, and this may be another podcast episode, but I feel spiritually you can impose your will on life to a certain extent, you know. Like weightlifting and things. Like I remember training and getting hyped up to try to lift a weight that I have never lifted before, and I get it. I'll lift it compared to, okay, I don't know if I'll be able to do this, you know. So it's like that internal dialogue, that self-talk, motivating yourself, and just never giving up. That's like the biggest lesson I've learned from sports. So that's why going back to what we were talking about, frustration. My frustration can be really high if I see somebody laying down. You know, like if I can see somebody like, okay, you're not giving 100%. There's people with some pretty crappy situations that would love to be in your spot, and you're not giving 100%. But if you give everything you got, I don't care about the outcome.
I will say that, I only played Pee Wee sports because I'm the world's most unathletic white guy. But, I remember doing suicides one day, and if you've ever done suicides, you know how badly those suck.
Yeah, I agree.
But, you'd be, you have to do this many suicides by the end of the day. You'd be surprised how you can force your body to do that.
Yeah.
So.
That's so true.
Like mind over matter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially when your legs are just burning and they're so heavy and jelly. And I think for me, though, sports, and it brings discipline to your life. It allows you to learn how to work as a team. The accountability of just showing up and being there for your teammates, regardless if you're playing or not. You're part of that team, so you have to be accountable. During my senior season, I quit both sports, and I regret that. I was playing basketball and baseball, and I till this day I still regret doing that. I think I let the moment get to me at that point, and looking back on it, I think that's what really happened. I let what was going on around me affect me to the point where I lost my passion for the game at that point, and I just it wasn't fun for me. And we made state both sports. So, and I missed out on that. And I to this day, it reflects in my head that I still regret it. So,
Yeah, I hated running going this line. I hated running that because
Suicides.
yeah,
Man.
I was always the last one to get done.
yeah, they weren't fun.
They weren't fun.
But it does give you conditioning.
Yeah.
It gives you.
Teaches how to breathe at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But it does something to you. It like I can, somebody who's been in sports for a while playing, I can kind of tell from like interactions with that individual. Like, okay, there's, like you were saying, Ethan, there's some level of discipline that you received that wasn't just, household, go do the dishes or chores. It was some level of discipline, like, hey, push yourself, like come out of your comfort zone and become something better. I can see that pretty good in people who kind of deal with sports. But it's a double-edged sword too, because some people kind of get this like perfectionism perspective of the world, and they feel like, okay, if I'm not the best, then I'm nothing. So you got to have a balance.
That's me too. Like a lot of time. Like,
Yeah, it can.
for me anyway.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not perfect, it hurts.
Yeah.
And it affects my mental health. I got a lot going on between school, work, and everything else that I have to learn to be able to be time. I have to learn time, and sports also teach you time management.
Yeah.
And so right now I gotta have time management for my class that I'm taking, and I gotta have the discipline to stay on top of my work, which which I have been, and I'm continuing to do. It's very hard because sometimes I'm just not in the mood, and I gotta force myself to do it. And I think that's what sports does also, is it forces you, even when you're not in the mood to be playing or have that energy, it pushes you to do that anyway.
So we're all people who care deeply about sports. We feel those highs and lows. What's one piece of encouragement you would offer to people who get affected by sports the way we do?
Never give up.
I would say just take it for what it is. Right. I've learned that it's a game. It's not life or death. Okay? Take it for what it is. If you're playing it, it's a game. Enjoy it. Get the lessons. Get the exercise. If you're watching it, take it for what it is. It's entertainment. Get enjoyment out of it. Use it to socialize. Barbecues, all that good stuff. Take it for what it is. And when it's over, let it be over. Because there's going to be another game. So that's my advice.
I'd have to say, as a Lions fan, I may hate the Bears, but that throw Caleb Williams made into the end zone in that playoff game was like a 70-yard throw into the end zone, and it won them the game. Like my team lost a lot, and it sucked. But, I can still appreciate really good players being the best at what they are. So, that's where you can find the joy that you've lost as your team doesn't live up to what your expectations may be.
I think just appreciate the little things, especially in life.
As we wrap up today's conversation, we've talked about what sport means to us beyond the scoreboard, the emotional highs and lows that come with being a fan, and how sports culture can shape the way we express or suppress our feelings. We also shared how the lessons we learned from sports can carry over into real life, from resilience and patience to knowing when to step back and take care of our mental health. Being a sports fan isn't just about wins and losses. It's about connection, identity, and emotion. And it's okay to acknowledge that those emotions can be both exciting and challenging at the same time. Thank you for joining us for today's episode. If this conversation made you think differently about your relationship with sports or how it affects your mental health, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. I'm Steven. That was Ethan, John, and Shad. Take care of yourself and take care of each other.
Go Dogs.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Good job, guys.
Good job, John. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to p.p.F, Past, Present, Future Living, a podcast presented by Club Success. We're really glad you joined us today. If you'd like to stay connected, be sure to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Club Success. We'd also love to hear your thoughts. You can send us a message on Facebook or email us at clubsuccess2005@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes are released every 2 months, and we have more meaningful conversations coming soon. If you're looking for a supportive, community-focused space centered on mental health recovery, check out Clubhouse International. There are more than 300 clubhouses around the world, each offering hope, connection, and recovery, and you may find one near you. Until next time, take care, stay connected, and be well.